my dad, if there was the best piece of wisdom, I think he gave me, not even understanding why, he always told me, look out for number one, not to the disrespect or disregard of anyone else. And I couldn't understand that until after he passed and dealing with therapy as I navigated how to put me first.
Wow.
Still be a friend, a sister, all the things in life, but how to put me first.
And that's kind of
still have all the roles.
Right.
Still manage the roles, but also people say, well, who are you? And people talk about, I'm a mom, I'm a this, I'm a that, no, those are the roles that you have.
Right.
I am a loyal, beautiful, intelligent, caring, supportive woman, resilient woman. That's who I am.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Greetings and welcome to the Elevated Flow podcast. I'm your host, Coach Flo, aka the Black Rowing Queen. The Elevated Flow podcast spotlights elite and everyday female athletes, mostly over 40, sharing how they elevate their game and their flow in sports, wellness, work, and life. These are powerful stories of strength, resilience, wisdom, and inspiration to help women stay active, age strong, and pass the torch to the next generation. Well, I have a special guest with me today. Please help me welcome Dr. Yvette Harris. How are you?
I am absolutely wonderful, honored, and humbled to be here, Coach Flo. Thank you for the invite.
So I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for saying yes and
absolutely
just doing it. I appreciate it. I'm excited about our conversation.
No
it's been a while, so I'm looking forward to catching up and hearing all the exciting things that are going on in your life. Okay. So let me give you a formal introduction. Dr. Yvette Harris is a seasoned educator, leadership trainer, and founder of Education and Development Resources, EDR Consulting and Training, Inc., with over 30 years of experience transforming lives through education and leadership development. Her journey began with honorable service in the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service. Followed by a successful career in corporate America. She later discovered her true calling in education, where she spent over 20 years impacting students, adult learners, and families. Dr. Harris has served in multiple roles, including teacher, counselor, professional development coordinator, and administrator, leading school reform initiatives, aligning curriculum, and building career technical education programs. Beyond traditional education, she has played a key role in charter school development and has secured funding ranging from $5,000 to over $3 million to support educational advancement. As a Maxwell Leadership Certified Team Coach, DISC Behavioral Analysis Trainer, I know what that is, DISC Behavioral Analysis Trainer, and Adjunct Professor, Dr. Harris now focuses on empowering individuals, especially female veterans, to transition into leadership roles in career, home, and life. Through EDR, she delivers high-impact, culturally competent training designed to build inclusive workplace and develop confident, capable leaders at every level. Dr. Harris believes that everyone has the potential to learn, lead, and create lasting impact, and she's dedicated her life to making that belief a reality. Welcome, Dr. Harris.
Thank you.
To the
Thank
Elevated
you so
Flow
much,
podcast.
Coach.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Wow. So, happy birthday. You want to share how old you just turned?
I am 60. I'm 60 and super excited to be here at 60.
My midlife friends just look so good.
Hey, look, that wellness journey is real.
You make 60 look so good. Yes. Oh, we're going to start. You know what? We're going to go to your athletic background. How tall are you? It's so funny. No, I'm going to start here because we met during COVID 2020.
Yes.
online doing, what was it, Wednesday Wind Down, where we got together
Down Wednesday,
every
yes.
Wind Down Wednesdays, where we met every Wednesday and just conversed, and
That kept us.
some of y'all
That
drank
kept us.
wine and all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize how tall you were until I saw you. I was like, oh, you're tall.
Like 2 years later, we met.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
so your athletic background, you played basketball. When did you start
And I ran
actually
track.
playing sports?
So, oh my gosh, playing organized sports, I started at 11.
Mm.
Prior to that, I went to dance school for 6 years. But I ran everywhere as a child and begged my mom at some point to put me in track. And after months of her and my dad interviewing, I don't know, when I say they vetted coaches,
Okay,
they
I love
vetted
it.
coaches and ended up on a local community club. And I was 10. And so for a year, my mother would pick me up, take me to track practice, pick me up, take me to dance school where I did ballet, jazz, and tap, and then pick me up and take me home. And she came to a place and she said, choose one because this is too much. And we're talking about the 70s. You know, all these extracurricular activities that children have today. I was doing all of that. I was in the 70s. And so I started running, and that was my thing. And I loved it. We found out when I was a little over 11, about a year later, that I was a good long jumper. And so at 12, I was the 7th best long jumper in the nation.
Wow.
3rd best on the East Coast, and the
Okay.
best in the city of Philadelphia.
That is so tight. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know about the
Yeah.
track history. Okay.
Yes, I ran the quarter, I ran the 200, got injured and found out that I was really good at the 800 because I couldn't sprint. And it's now a sprint, but back then it wasn't. And
The 800 is a
ran
sprint now?
relays. To me, it is.
Oh,
If
okay.
anything is under 2 minutes, that's a sprint. You know, that was a kind of, 800 is a sprint. That was kind of a middle distance back then. But yeah, so 800, 400, 200. I can run the 100, but at 5'11", I didn't have the control over my body to get out of the blocks fast enough. And I could do it, but it was not the easiest thing for me. So.
Okay. So wait, you were 5'11". When
running.
did you reach your maximum height? You said 5'11". You couldn't get out the
Yeah,
blocks.
I'm 5'11". So I reached 5 feet at 10, and by the time I was 12, I was 5'9.5". And somewhere in my early 20s, I grew another 1.5 inches.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
where did you play basketball? When did you start playing basketball?
So I played basketball in middle school. I played for my school's team, and I played basketball, and I went to a K-12 school. And because I ran competitively, and it was a white school, so the girls weren't very fast runners within the schools that we competed with. So in middle school, I also ran varsity track.
Wow.
At school while I was running for my community club, because on their level, I was just that good.
Right.
But in the community, I was just as good as the other ones in my age group.
Okay.
But it just was what it was. And so, and then I did go to public school in 9th grade, and I ran varsity track.
Okay.
Yeah. But basketball, again, it was a choice. My mom, because I was, I'm leaving for school at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. I'm not getting home until 7, 8 o'clock at night. And that's because I had basketball games, but then I also had track practice. And she was like, this is you pick one. And so I always chose track.
Okay. That's cool.
I always chose track.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did the thought of joining the military come to play?
The thought of joining the military didn't come into play. An ultimatum was given to me at 18 years old by my mother. And I had dropped out the first time I ever dropped out of college. And she sat me down. She said, okay, you're either going to go back to college. We're not paying for it because you went in that semester. You did not. We weren't no transcripts. We weren't nothing to show that you was away for 5 months. So we not paying for this. And you can get a job in an apartment because you're 18 and you can't live in here. And or you can go in the military, but you can't go in the Army and you can't go in the Navy because you can't swim. Yeah. Parents' knowledge and wisdom. So my sister, I have an older sister, she was in the Air Force. So I went and got the yellow pages, which is now non-existent, called the Air Force Recruiter. And 8 months later, I was going to basic training.
Wow. Okay. So what was that experience like, and how long were you there?
So basic training at the time, 6 weeks. And it was so funny because the Air Force is interested in your brain, truly. And so athletics is not a big deal in terms of, they're not that interested in your physicality. So the goal over the 6 week period was to be able to jog a mile and a half in a certain period of time. Okay, I can do that today, but they wanted us to do it as a group because everything was about teamwork and team building. And so I struggled, not because I couldn't do it, but because I had to do it with 40 girls running almost in tandem together. But at least it was easy for me.
Okay.
At least it was, basic training was very easy because although I hadn't run in about 2 years, I wasn't out of shape.
Right.
I wasn't completely out of shape. So basic training was easy for me.
So how long did you spend in the Air Force as a whole?
So yes, as a whole, I did 4 years active duty, and then I was in the National Guard for 4 years.
Wow. So you actually liked it.
I did. I didn't know at the time, but it prepared me not only for everything that I've done, but for where I am today and what I do in my business. And I didn't even know.
Okay. Okay. So what did it teach you about discipline and leadership? Because you do leadership development and everything now. How did it teach you that?
So it gave me hands-on training, but I had two parents that were when it came to discipline, and I'm not talking about physical discipline, although I'm talking about my dad teaching me how to tell time at 4 years old because they didn't want me to have to wait for them when it was time to leave the house. The discipline of doing household chores at a very early age. My parents took my height as an advantage in life. In their mind, if I could reach it, I could do it.
Okay.
And they just had to show me how because I was tall enough. So they really taught me how to use my height and not only use it as an advantage, but also to be comfortable with it.
That's good.
Because, in the 70s, there weren't many girls that were my height. More or less many Black girls that weren't my height. So to be comfortable being this tall, foot as big as mine, which now size 10 is everywhere, but back then it wasn't. And to be, 5'9.5", 96 pounds, it was a lot. But they made me walk in it. And I'm so grateful for it. I am so grateful because now I can lead from the
That's
front
good.
instead of having to come from behind. Yeah.
I just
I'm
be
not
like,
even,
okay,
it is what it
okay.
is.
It
is what it is.
Yes. What did you say about your foot, though?
So I started wearing women's size shoes at the age of 8.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Which was a struggle for my mother because she wanted me to be a child. And so, but at 10 years old, I wore a size 10. And so you're 10 years old, you wear a 10, you can't wear sneakers to school because I wore a uniform. So I had to wear shoes. So the search and the hunting that my parents invested in me in ways that until I would say the last 20 years or so, I just didn't appreciate. Well, I can't say it wasn't, I didn't even realize and understand what had transpired. But when I think about, her driving me around, and if she wasn't feeling well, calling on her friends to drive me around to find shoes that were not only good quality, but again, were a flat enough heel because she wanted me to wear heels in the right situations, to church or to occasions. But going to school, no, we didn't do that.
Right.
And so to find the right shoes and then having to pay because leather, the whole not leather shoes. She's like, I'm not tearing up my child's feet. And then, so these are the shoes that I wear Monday through Friday to school. But then the investments We talking 1976, 77, spending $50 on a pair of sneakers for me to practice in as an athlete. The track suits, the uniforms, the spikes, yeah, my parents invested in me as their child, as an athlete, and as an academic, because they were strong in academics, for me. And yeah, so I didn't have a choice but to be excellent. And I believe, so going into the military, walking in that excellence, wearing the uniform, I had worn a uniform most of my school years, and I watched my parents dress in suits to go to work. So putting on the uniform and making it and having it fit well, it just wasn't an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, the discipline was easy. And then I was thrown into leadership positions in the Air Force. I came into some very unique opportunities that people of my rank didn't come to, but it prepared me. Again, EDR Consulting is because of who Yvette Harris was in the Air Force.
Okay. So when you left the Air Force, you said you went to the reserves, and that's obviously civilian life. What kind of work were you doing then?
Well, I struggled, which is why I'm starting the services that I have for veterans. Because making the transition, you literally are on a base on a day. Today is Thursday. So you're on a base on a Thursday, your food, your shelter, your clothing, all the things, most of which you don't pay for. And you leave that base Thursday night, never to return. And the next day you wake up and it's gone.
Wow. So
And
you
so
said you
making that,
struggled. What was the transition like
I
for
struggled.
you?
I didn't know how to look for a job, a grown-up job. I didn't know how to write a resume. I didn't have those skills. I didn't have those skills. And the skills that I did have, that I gained from the military, civilian world didn't accept them at the same level. So where I was doing high ranking level work, it was $6 an hour work out here in the streets. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. What are we doing? What?
Wow.
Yeah. And so I struggled. The transition was real. And then I think in addition to that, just navigating, having the responsibility to take care of everything in my daily life, my professional life, and then at the same time, having to manage mental health. It's better, but it's still not what people need when they're leaving the military.
It's so
It's still not what
interesting to
people
hear
need.
that perspective. I've had a number of veterans on the podcast, and no one talked about that. So we do similar work in that we go into corporations and help with wellness, and yours is more leadership, but mine is really focusing on team building, retention, burnout, and all of those things. And I ask people what corporations can do to make that a priority and build it into the culture. That's really powerful to hear that the military doesn't prepare you for that. And you said, yes, it's a little bit better now, but what are some things? I know that you're working with veterans to help them in civilian life, but what are some things that the military can do to help prepare people for civilian life?
The transition, education, and resources needs to greatly increase, but it's not. Because the bottom line is they have to continue to prepare people to protect our freedoms in this country. And so leaving is not where their focus is. Their focus is on making sure that no one comes over here and takes advantage of us. And so I made it my business in 2023, after some amazing business coaching, to shift. I had to make a shift because I have lived experiences. I have lived experiences and have overcome some obstacles and some barriers and all things. And so now it's time for me to help some others. Sit here.
So what were you doing prior to your shift or your transition or pivot, if you will, in 2023?
So prior to that, I wasn't continue to serve clients who operate nonprofits and provide education, leadership, and workforce development services.
Okay.
Because that's my area of expertise. So I assist nonprofits with program coordination, funding, locating, researching, writing for funding, not only developing but overseeing their programs, those types of things. So that was an easy thing. But in 2023, I made the decision that I was going to serve veterans to help them discover, for some, and move forward in their identity outside of the uniform.
Mm. Now, was it something in particular that made you realize that that's what you wanted to do?
Always knew that once I went into business for myself, I always knew I wanted to do something in the veteran space.
Okay.
And I always knew it would have to do with transitional services. But again, I had an expert, business coaching is key. Personal coaching is important. When you have when you're an entrepreneur, you need to have some personal coaching, you need to have some business coaching. And it was through that business coaching that showed me that I needed to do it at a higher level.
Mm.
I needed to do it at a higher level. And so we spent 2024 putting things together, and I actually developed my first collaborative partner, a local United Way, and helping them with they launched a veteran initiative at the end of 2023. I didn't even know.
Okay.
And I hadn't yet come outside after the pandemic. Part of that, again, my mental health. Had a diagnosis and was dealing with it and learning the coping skills, but still wasn't ready to come outside.
Okay.
I'd finally received a diagnosis from some things that happened in the military. And so I was navigating that. I was navigating grief. As you know, my dad had passed. And so I was invited to come outside and found out that this local United Way was they had launched a veterans initiative, and I just jumped in. I jumped in, and so helping them, and then I'm launching my show later this year, and it's going to be there'll be some guests, but there'll be a lot of education.
Wait, what kind of
And
show? Are you doing a podcast?
I'm doing a YouTube show.
Okay.
I'm doing a YouTube show
Awesome.
for veterans. Again, I'll be teaching, I'll be training, but it's not going to be militaristic style training.
Okay.
It's going to be relaxed, it's going to be fun, it's going to be engaging, but I am providing support and resources, and because it'll be on YouTube, everything will be free.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I talk a lot, and I totally agree with you that coaching is key. You got to invest in yourself. Therapy, if you need it, also. Do you feel like COVID, I know you said it took you till 2023, 24 to come outside. Do you feel like it exacerbated some of the things that you had experienced and realized was a result of being in the military?
It wasn't that it exacerbated it. It was because I was still in quiet that I was able to realize I always knew something was wrong. And then someone brought some things to my attention in 2020, and I was like, you know what? I need to figure out what this really is. Cause now I'm quiet. I don't have to go to networking events. I was working a contract, but because school shut down, we just had to finish it virtually. So I had the quiet around me and not the hustle and bustle being outside. And so I reached out to the VA, got a therapist, and finally somebody gave me nobody had given me a diagnosis. Everybody told me that I was fine, that I was just tired. And I'm like, no, I'm not tired. Something's wrong. But because of my personality and because of the things that I'm talking about things that are going on in my life, and they're seeing it as, you're this leader, you're Dr. Yvette Harris, you're this, you're that. They weren't looking below the surface. But I was blessed to find someone who didn't care what I was talking about and who I was. And she said, this is what's going on with you, and here are your symptoms. And I was like, okay, thank you. It was a relief. It was a relief.
It is so interesting that I have that personality too, where it's like to name something, to put a label to it, for some reason, it just, like you said, it's a relief. It makes you feel like once you've identified it, then you can kind of move forward and figure out how you're going to navigate it, embrace it,
Yes.
heal it, whatever the
Yes.
case may be.
And that, because of my faith, had I been praying about myself for years, but I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to pray. And now that I had the letters, 4 little letters, PTSD, 4 little letters and some symptoms, now I knew how to pray about it. Now I knew what to talk about the
The
symptoms
language
so
to
that I could
use
get coping
too.
skills.
Right.
So now I knew how to pray so my heart could be healed. Because the heart, unlike people think the brain, the heart is where we believe, the heart is where we hold everything.
Right.
So now I knew how to pray to have my heart healed about some areas, some things that happened in that good military.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like I said, get some coping skills
Right.
and understand, when people, we could do that. Yeah, I can't do that. Or, no, I'm not doing that because I'm going to protect my mental health. And if I go down that road with you, it's not going to be pretty for either one of us.
That's good. That's good. Now, that's another thing, protecting the mental health, being able to say no, being able to set boundaries. How has that helped you in navigating transitions and pivots in your life?
Learned how to do all of that in therapy after my diagnosis.
Okay.
And it has been my dad. If there was the best piece of wisdom, I think he gave me, not even understanding why. He always told me, look out for number one, not to the disrespect or disregard of anyone else. And I couldn't understand that until after he passed and dealing with therapy as I navigated how to put me first.
Wow.
Still be a friend, a sister, all the things in life, but how to put me first.
And that's kind of
Still have all the roles.
right.
Still manage the roles, but also people say, well, who are you? And people talk about, I'm a mom, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a that. No, those are the roles that you have.
Right.
I am a loyal, beautiful, intelligent, caring, supportive woman, resilient woman. That's who I am.
Yeah.
That's who I am. But being able to understand that and walk in it confidently every day like you said, had those boundaries. It took a while.
And that's relatively recent, right? In the last, 3 years?
Last 3 years, COVID was great for me.
Mm.
And now I want to help I run into veterans all the time. And when I tell them what I'm in the process of doing, my marketing person, I told him what I was doing. He was like, oh my gosh, one of my clients, I need to connect you with him because he's always saying it. And we're talking about people in their 50s and 60s. We're not talking about the 20 somethings. I haven't even gotten to them yet. I'm working on that over 40 audience. And it is my hope that as I kind of gear toward them with some of my lived experiences, the 20 somethings and 30 somethings that are exiting for whatever the reason, they may not stay in until they're 20 years or till they retire, that they're able to watch the channel, gain some of the skills and resources, and that they don't go down the road that we went to. So you talked about your show helping people so that they can help the next generation.
Right.
That's my goal when it comes to the veteran community.
That's good. So you basically just skipped to one of the last segments of the podcast where I'm gonna ask you that. But yeah, so thank you. That's powerful. Yes, it's definitely passing the torch. I was talking to someone the other day and I was saying how, these young girls, they're in their, well, you know what? They might not even be early 20s because they're still in college. So they might be maybe 20. But I was just saying the gap between my parents, me, and their generation. It's like our parents they didn't know about menopause. Their parents didn't talk to them about these things. So there was not a lot of information that they passed down to us. And therefore, the gap between not the baby boomers and the Z's
Gen
is like,
Zs.
it's a
It is.
huge gap.
It's literally from A to Z. It is literally from A to Z. Yeah.
Right. So with the Gen Xers, it's like, no, we have that information that we could pass down to them and they can actually have better experiences because we're sharing it. And we
Yes.
understand it now. We have the language to
Yes.
communicate it to them. So
Yep.
I love that. So when you finally got a job after you got out of the military, what kind of work were you doing? Is that
So
when
I
you started teaching?
didn't start immediately. When I
Okay.
first got out, I did spend some years, about 6, 7 years in corporate America. I bounced from job to job, job to job. And then in 1996, I found an ad in the paper for this job at this school district. And I applied and I got the job. And it
Okay.
was the beginning of what would be a 21-year career in education.
Wow.
I love children. I didn't know how well, I did, because when I was a teenager, I had a babysitting business.
Okay.
I had a business as a babysitter when I was a teenager. And
Okay.
so working with children was easy and it was fun and I loved every bit of it.
So what was that transition like going from corporate America, military, corporate America, and then into the education system?
I think for me, because I never really grew in corporate America, for me, it started out as just another job
Okay.
because I needed the money. I didn't know that it was part of my purpose in life and that
Mm,
I would grow to have a passion for it. But because the first job I had, I wasn't teaching, but I was working on a high school campus every day. And my love for the children and the field just grew. And I eventually became a teacher.
okay. So you
Yeah.
said 21 years in
I spent
higher
21 years in education.
education.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
I've worked with adults. I started out after I got that job on school campus. Then I worked with adults for a couple years. And then I've worked with children on probation. I've worked with special needs students. I was a special needs teacher. I've been a principal, a counselor. My last position, I was an elementary school. I always worked with older children, 16 and up, because I was teaching career and life skills. But then my last job, I was a principal at elementary school. The babies, they, they're wonderful. They're wonderful.
And so then, even though they were wonderful, you said, okay, this is not the last stop. And then you
Well,
transitioned to, or when did you
I
start
tr-
your business?
I started my business in 2016 as soon as I finished my doctorate, literally about 2 months later, because the system is broken. I felt,
Which system?
and the
All of them,
education,
but which one do you
all of them,
refer to?
but the education system, the
Okay.
education system is broken. It's a warehouse. That's all it is. It's a warehouse.
Mm,
And so I felt, still believe, still know I'm able to have more of an impact through EDR consulting and training than it's different because it's indirect. I'm not working directly with the children, but I'm building the programs to provide the services for the children that the schools just don't have the capacity to provide. And so that's a greater level of impact than I could have in my one classroom or in my one
right.
school. We're working with hundreds of children in multiple programs around the country with the client that I have. And so, yeah.
Now, I've talked to several of my guests and talked about wellness within the school system. And you said that now it's pretty much from one to a few to one to many
Mhm.
thousands because you're working with different schools. What is the focus, or is there a focus on the professionals, the teachers that are working with these students and making sure that they have good health and mental wellness and all of those things so that they can be there and show up well for the children? Or is that not your specific focus with your
That is
program?
exactly what we're doing. Our programs, we provide mental health services. We provide after school engaging and fun playtime, yet structured. We
Okay.
are providing career and life skills classes. We are providing mentoring. We are providing things, like I said, that the schools can't provide, but we're doing it during and after school. And so our students that are in our programs, are thriving because
Mm,
they're getting the things that they need. That again, there's just not enough hours with all of the high stakes testing and
right.
graduation rates and data and this. There's schools can't concentrate on everything,
Right.
and so they they stay in their lane.
If you're leading high performers and wondering why they burn out, disengage, or plateau, this is for you. Former athletes and high achievers don't struggle because they lack drive or discipline. They struggle because the supportive systems that once supported them and fueled their growth are gone. I partner with organizations that want more than output. They want thriving leaders, retention, and sustainable performance. Because true wellness and growth aren't perks, they're fundamental. If you're ready to build a culture that supports the whole person at work and beyond, let's talk. Click the link in the description to explore how we can partner to prioritize workplace wellness. Now let's get back to the episode.
So to speak.
So because I have a contract with Dallas Independent School District, and we just had a meeting 2 weeks ago, and they were talking about the difference between having a program in the school versus after school. And we're looking to expand that contract. And who is it that provides the services? Being that you're working across the country, who is it that provides the services for the students after school?
So my client has a major nonprofit. And so
Okay.
when we go into schools to provide programs, we hire people.
Okay.
You know, part of my job, part of my work, I should say, because it's a client relationship, but part of my work with this particular nonprofit is to help hire people. So I'm vetting, I'm, writing scopes of work and reviewing
Okay.
resumes and all of the things, because having been in the field, I know the type of person that we need.
Right.
Yeah. So again, all I did was take what I learned in the military, because one thing that the military will give you, people who have been in the military are really the best entrepreneurs possible because of all of the skills that we have. And so I took everything I learned in the military, what I learned as a child having a business, because I was marketing. I had an employee, my mom. So I had a summer job, but I needed her to watch my client while I went to work, and I paid my mom. So I had to do payroll. I was doing all the things as a teenager. And then,
Wow.
taking all of that, taking what I got from the military and then what I learned in education and put it all together. I stayed in my lane: education, leadership, workforce development. That's what I've done all of my teenage through adult life. And then I just packaged it in my business.
I love it. I love that. So what would you say is the thing that stands out to the most between working with youth and adults?
The young people are genuine. Young people are so genuine. If they don't like your hair, your clothes, the way your facial expressions, they're going to tell you, and they're not telling you to be mean. They're just telling you.
No filter. It just comes out.
No filter. It just comes out. And I would rather it just come out than all of this. Or in the corporate world, or in the workplace. Excuse me, can you come into my office? I've received word some people are, who can we all come together and talk as adults? Why it gotta be some people? Who are they? I need to know who they are. People are, well, they say, well, who's they? What is their name? What are their names? I need to know. And let's talk about it.
Right. I get it. Okay. So your preference.
But young people gonna tell you all the time. Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, I wanted to ask you, when you were doing the nonprofit work, you said you secured between $5,000 and $3 million in funding. That's pretty incredible. What has been your approach to actually the funding process?
I think for any nonprofit that is seeking funding, you have to prepare your business before you even go look for money. Where's your standard operating procedures? What are your policies? Is your board a working board, or are they just people that want to say that they're on a board? What does your website look like? Is everything spelled properly on your website? Let's talk about it. And then, what are you doing to manage and bring revenue in now? What data? This is the big we've been doing this. Where's your data? Where's your data? I have a client now that's had his nonprofit for 37 years, and he has an event that he does every single year. And while we collect some data, we need to be collecting data on every aspect of that event. And so
Right.
this year we will be collecting data on every aspect of that event and going forward.
Awesome.
Data.
And it's the same for a for-profit.
It really is, because
Yeah.
when you want to, go work somewhere or partner with someone, you need to be able to show those things. And so I don't do much in my business. I have this kind of side segment over here where I do training for nonprofits that want to, I do some small nonprofit training, but that's not the bulk of what I want to do. But because I'm in the space and I know what it takes, I've written grants and I've been on grant writing teams. The largest grant that I helped to write, I was on the team, $236 million.
Wow, that's impressive.
But we had all of our ducks in a row.
Yeah. So would you say that that is the difference between programs or organizations that succeed and those that continue to struggle?
Well, I think success is subjective,
Well, yeah.
because success could be
Well, success based on what they want to do, their goals.
But again, but are their goals written down? Are their goals written down? And what are they doing every day to take some measure of some aspect of a step closer
Right.
to achieving it? Whether that be getting training, it could be taking a grant writing class. Yeah. So you have to look at the things that you need to do to work in your business and to work on your business and know the difference.
Right. So what is it that you do now with all of the success that you've had to maintain your wellness, fitness, active lifestyle?
Oh, in 20 was beginning of 2025. I have no diseases. I have no conditions. I'm so grateful. I am in excellent health, minus dealing with my cholesterol, which is a postmenopausal thing. But at the beginning of 2025, I had this urgency to start exercising. And literally, I felt like if you don't start exercising, you're going to die. That was that's how urgent it was, because I hadn't worked out on a regular basis. I did some walking and some things during COVID, but I didn't have anything consistent going on. And so I went to the gym in my neighborhood, got a trainer, because we're talking 30 plus years since I had really, really worked out. But at this, I was like, I want some muscles. I want some muscles. I want to get strong. For 30 plus years, I hadn't worked out consistently doing anything. I'd walk here and there for a period of time. I might go work out every now and then, but I didn't have a routine. And so at the beginning of 2025, I went to the gym, I joined, I got a trainer, and we started lifting those weights. And I started out with 5-pound dumbbells. And by the end of the year, I was lifting 50-pound kettlebells, 90-pound RDLs. I got a lot stronger. And so this year we are concentrating on unstiffening my body, because what I've learned, and I know it sounds crazy, but what I learned was all that trauma stayed in my body and my muscles. I have my massage therapist yesterday, as he was working me out, he's like, your muscles are twisted together. And so now we're starting to unravel. So next week, I'll be starting Pilates, and I'm excited. So now we can start lengthening those muscles, because I've got these muscles, but they're like this.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of the definition in my body is not easy to see. But the muscles, you touch me, I'm hard. I'm like, yes, but you can't, they're not defined because they're all.
Yeah. That was something that I learned when I was in fitness school. talking about the fascia, the connective tissue. And that's one of the things in studying more about that is that trauma lives. I've heard and seen videos where they have done massaging to work on the fascia and lengthen it and everything. And people just break down and cry. And it's from trauma from years ago that, people hold in their body.
And
so that's,
I am expecting some tears. Because I've had a couple tears with massage therapy. So I'm expecting it, gonna let it go. And I am looking forward to what I look like on the other side. Because I can see some of the results of my working out. But I'm looking forward to seeing, at 5'11", some long lean muscles, baby.
So how has working out consistently made you feel?
You know what?
What impact has it had on your mental health?
I was thinking that I wasn't in love with the gym, but let me not be able to go. And I'm like a dope fiend. I need to get to the gym. I need to go. We love. And I literally joined the gym that is less than a mile away from my house because I didn't have the discipline. But now the gym that I'm about to go to is about 15 minutes away. And I'm excited. I'm super excited about joining this gym and being able to do, get the stretching in that I need and some of the cardio and building up my endurance. Yeah, I'm excited for the next part of this journey. I don't need to get much stronger. My chiropractor was like, "You are super strong. You're strong enough. Stop lifting all the weights. Go stretch. Go stretch." He said, you lift weights, you lift light weights, but your body is rock hard." And I was like, okay. So we're going to go stretch out these rock hard muscles. It didn't feel good, but my mental health, feeling good physically helps you feel good mentally and emotionally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And as my business is evolving at this point, and so being able to have the energy to, sometimes I'm working 12, 13 hours a day, not because I'm one of those people that's workaholic, but I have a client who has programs that run from 7:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night.
Okay.
And so sometimes I just need to be available. And so, but here's the thing, being able to make a decision, being able to choose a time to take a nap versus I got to take a nap because I can't make it. That's where I'm at now. And a year ago, I needed a nap.
Okay.
That's the best way to put it for me. I choose to take a nap now.
I love that. I used to be a huge napper. It's so crazy because the last 3 years I haven't, prior to that, every single day.
Every day.
I took a nap.
But I was taking them because I couldn't, and then, the other piece for me was the exercise, but my hormones. I knew my hormones were only okay. And I have found an absolutely amazing Dr. Harris I'm waiting. She just upgraded some things for me and I'm away on vacation. And when I get back home, they should be in my mailbox. And I'm like, ooh, what kind of energy am I about to have? I'm so excited. I don't know what to do. Cause I don't know what it feels like to have this level of energy, physically, mentally, emotionally, and be clear headed.
Right. Right.
World, watch out.
Wow. Wow. You know what's so exciting? And all of my guests have just inspired me in different ways. And so you're talking about just turning 60. I interviewed someone that just is 65. She's about to turn 66. And she was like, when I'm 67, I'm going to just push hard for a couple of years before, then she'll get serious about her business. And it really gives me a different perspective about aging. And I hope that my audience is also inspired by that, because the way that society makes it feel, or the way that they talk about aging, it's almost like once you hit 50, 60, and then it's like downhill. That's the midpoint, then it's downhill from there. But like for you to just saying, okay, now my business is growing and thriving and expanding, and you just turned 60 and you're looking forward to, it's like I told somebody a couple of weeks ago, like, you're 50, but you can like literally live 50 more years. Cause I've heard people say so many times, well, my best years are behind me, or I have more years behind me than I have ahead of me. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case at 50.
I feel, because again, with my faith, scripture promises us that we could have 120, and I want all 120. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm just starting out.
Somebody told me that yesterday. She was like, "Oh, I plan to live to 120." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I'm day one right now. I'm literally
Right.
like day one.
Wow.
But with the wisdom and the experiences and the healed heart that I didn't have, I'm telling you, let's go.
I love it. That is so inspiring to me, because I was with somebody and I said my age and they were like, "Oh, you just a baby." And I'm like, you know what? I embrace that.
And I'm gonna
I will
take
be
it.
that baby.
Exactly.
One of my friends used to be like, "You always the baby in the group." And I'm like, "I'll be the baby in the group." But
And with the
seriously, you
wisdom that
guys
I
have
have,
really been such an inspiration to me. Yeah, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. So how, with you working out and understanding your body as far as what you need with like strengthening and lengthening, so stretching and resting and all of that, is there anything that you do aside from saying no and setting boundaries for self-care and taking a nap? That's part of self-care. But yeah, do you have a self-care routine?
As a behavioral health counselor, something that I learned about a long time ago, I have a very good sleep hygiene routine.
That's good.
I am going to be 6 out of 7 nights a week in my bed by 9:30. Am I asleep? No. But I've showered and my body knows it's 9:30, it's time for us to be in bed, because we're watching when I'm in bed. I don't do horror, anything really day or night, but I'm not watching violent shows. I've rarely watched the news. I don't know when was the last time I turned on a news station. Um so when I'm watching the Golden Girls where I live come on 2 different channels, and I'm watching the Golden Girls. And I need to fall asleep. I need to hear the TV. No, you don't. You're not resting. But I put my timer on for 2 hours. And then at about 10:30, I take my nighttime supplements. For whatever the reason, my body doesn't hold magnesium. I can eat all the greens. Don't come for me in the comments, because we've done all the greens and all the high magnesium foods. My body doesn't hold magnesium, so we take a very good supplement. Thank you. And I'm gonna keep on taking it. And so I take my nighttime supplements, 10:30, and I might last another 20 minutes and I'm out. And I sleep all night. Now, if there's one thing that I'll tell women to make an investment in, it is an adjustable base for your bed. You can have any kind of mattress, but get an adjustable base, because we should not be sleeping flat. And it has made all the difference in my quality. I go to sleep, I'm not waking up till
Really?
the morning.
That's amazing.
Between 7 and 8 hours every night.
I wish. Well, that would be so
But
beautiful.
a lot of that is hormones, getting your hormones closer to being in balance. That whole insomnia. There is a 2-3 times a year I have a night where I struggle to fall asleep, but I'm in that bed, I'm going to sleep.
So do you sleep with your feet elevated? Or
I sleep my feet up, my feet are elevated, my head is elevated, and I have lumbar support for my back.
Wow.
So how I monitor how well I slept is I look at the covers in the morning, and they're not moving. They're not moving.
I love it. It's so interesting to hear different people's experience.
Sleep, and for any woman over 40, please go get a sleep study, because you probably have sleep apnea.
Yeah.
I have it.
I just wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. Always have. I can't remember a time when, I could probably count how many times that I didn't get up to use the bathroom at night. And so sometimes I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to not drink after 8 o'clock, and that whole thing. Sometimes it works, but sometimes I'd be thirsty. So I'm like, I'm going to just have to get up because I'm
7:30
dehydrated.
is my time. 7:30
To stop
is
drinking
my time.
water?
It's so rare that I drink past 7:30. And so again, the discipline. So between 10 o'clock in the morning and 6:30 at night if I drink 8 ounces of water every 30 minutes, I'll get my gallon in. That's the way my
Okay.
mind thinks.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what are some other healthy habits? You said women over 40 get a sleep test, sleep study. I want to do that. Get a sleep study, look
Get
into
get your
hormones. I
hormones
mean,
checked. Get your hormones
hormones
checked.
checked. And yeah, what other suggestions would you give us?
Get off of cane sugar.
Yeah.
I went from regular cane sugar, I went to sugar in the raw, and I do monk fruit sweetener. And I've been doing monk fruit sweetener, oh my gosh, for about 4 years. People have eaten my cakes, people have eaten my cookies, people have eaten my pies, people have eaten whatever I make with
And
that
don't
good
know.
monk fruits and don't have a clue.
That's good.
And
Cane
don't have a
sugar
clue.
and what high fructose corn syrup people need
Oh
to.
yeah, I'm not a juice drinker. I'd very
Well,
if
that
I
it's not just in juice though. I
yeah,
don't
I
drink
don't
juice either, but I look at ingredients sometimes and I'm like,
Yeah, I am an avid high fructose corn syrup, of course, the red and yellow dye, but natural flavors. That's not natural. So natural flavors, I got off of enriched pasta. Only do durum wheat or semolina, chickpea. There are a couple of brands of bread, sourdough that have 4 to 5 ingredients. Those are the only ones I buy. Outside of some butter, and I only do grass-fed, I don't do dairy. So no dairy milk, no dairy cheese, no dairy sour cream. Yeah, I only use avocado, olive, and on occasion coconut oil. Yeah. I just recently changed out all of the pasta in my pantry.
mm,
And I went and bought yeah, so I'm mindful. I'm not perfect, but I'm mindful. Even my popcorn oil is a coconut oil for popcorn.
okay.
Yeah.
So you focus on your health, your nutrition,
And I don't look at the
your
scale.
fitness. Oh, that's okay. That's
I
a good thing.
stopped looking at the scale when I started working out because I knew putting on the muscle would gain weight. And so I look at the scale and I looked at it a couple days ago and I was like, well, you've been eating a whole lot because it's your birthday. So fix it.
You know what to do.
But my clothes still fit.
Right.
As long as my clothes fit, I'm fine. I'm 5'11". Do I weigh what,
Right.
and I had that thing, well, I don't weigh what I used to weigh, and I have never given birth. And so it's like, well, why have I gained all this weight? I
I
weigh
was
what I
with a
weigh.
friend today and I was saying something. We're looking at someone, and this is no shade, but I do want to share this because this was just something related to what we're talking about. And I saw this woman and she had on some really short shorts and she was really big and she had on a sleeveless shirt. And I was just like, I always wondered before I think this was before I got into fitness and wellness. At what point do people like look at themselves and say, okay, enough is enough? Now, granted, I know that some things are hereditary or have hormone or some kind of disease or underlying condition, but for people, and then people, and I will say disease also in the category of what do we call it? Habits when you have addictive behavior characteristics, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so some people could go from one addiction to another. And I remember when I hit, I got on the scale and I was 186. And I was like, okay, it stops here. Like for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I said, and not perfect or saying anything. I'm just talking about my lived experience. And I never have seen even 180 again. But I tell my clients all the time that the scale is not the best predictor of success
True.
or progress even. And so
True.
I encourage people not to look at the scale either. If you're going to look at the scale, look at it once a week, maybe
Mm-hmm.
once a week if you
Maybe,
really want
maybe.
to.
Agree.
But it's really about taking pictures and seeing the body transformation and composition change because when you lift
Mm-hmm.
weights, you can weigh, and I used to give this picture to my clients where it has a woman, the same woman, where she weighs the same amount, but she looks totally different. And people always say, oh, well, muscle weighs more than fat. It's not. Muscle is more dense than fat. So you could weigh 186, but have more muscle and you look way leaner, you know? So,
Oh, yeah, I have found out. But then we have to wonder how many people really have a scale in their house.
yeah. Well, a lot of
Yeah.
people.
And so we don't get to, but we don't know. Well, we don't know what we don't know. But I
Yeah.
think for me, I've just come to, like I said, I've worn the same size clothes since I was in high school, but my body has changed dramatically and my weight has gone up about 70 pounds. But because of my height and the way weight
Mm.
distributes, I still wear the same size clothes.
That is so
And
interesting.
yep.
Well, I want to go back to something that you just said a minute ago. You said that you haven't given birth. And we talked about passing the torch earlier. What does legacy and passing the torch look like for you as a professional woman that doesn't have a legacy, so to speak, just from, biological children?
So I was blessed that during my career, there were some young women who, for whatever reason, their moms weren't in their lives. And so I have had the unique opportunity to be mom for them, mom, grandmom, all of those things. Additionally, there's always a woman or two. It's almost like as soon as I finish pouring out for a period of time with one and I get some time to rest, here comes another.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always on assignment because I believe my job is to expand the kingdom and do the things that I'm purposed to do. And
Right.
so me passing the torch means pouring into the lives of women who are, the Gen Y, the Gen Zers, and whether their moms are in their lives or not, there's some things that obviously they have come to me for. And yeah, and that's that. So
I love it.
yeah, that's where I leave it. And the things that I do, it's not necessarily a legacy of children. For me, it's going to be a legacy of some veterans, legacy of some women that I've worked with in business.
Yeah. Yeah.
We as a society need to be more giving in how we define certain things. And legacy
Of
is one of
course.
those.
Yeah.
We are leaving a legacy every day. You
Right.
don't just leave it when you die. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Do the little tap for that one. Yes. So as we conclude, this is called the Elevated Flow Podcast. So when would you say that you were in your flow state?
I'm in my flow state now.
Okay. And what does
I'm
that
in my
look like, feel like? And
when I tell you I'm living my best life,
I know you text me that. I
uh,
was so excited. I was so excited when I heard that, saw that. Yeah.
I am doing what I love. I'm doing it how I love to do it. And most often I do it when I love to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Every day of my life is different.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I have my laptop and my phone, I can be in December. I went on vacation, but there was some work that needed to be done for a client. It just was no choice. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew that. And so I took my computer, I take it everywhere I go, but I do my best to have one vacation a year where I don't do any work. But this time there was a Zoom meeting I needed to have, there were a couple phone calls. And so my client called me on a Sunday afternoon.
Mm.
I was laying on the beach and he needed something urgently. And he said, I'm sorry to call you on vacation. I said, it's okay. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm on the beach. And I sent him a picture of the water. And he asked me his question and I gave him my answer. When I began my business, there was a friend of mine. She just made this random statement that she wanted to live her life on vacation and work in between. And
Mm.
it resonated with me then,
I like
and I
that.
can say that that is what I am living my life like I'm on vacation, and a whole lot of times I'm on vacation and I'm working in between.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
powerful. That's powerful. I love it. Well, you put in the time and the work.
yeah, I did. I went to the good
Congratulations. That's
offices every
awesome.
day.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, are there any closing statements or anything that you want to impart to the audience before we close?
Flo, I just want to say thank you. Watching your journey over these last few years and seeing the fruit of your labor is just
Mm,
absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for you. I'm so
thank
excited for
you.
this opportunity and every guest that you have. I pray nothing but the Most High's absolutely best for you, and that the
Thank you.
women who come across your podcast understand that you are pouring out from a heart of love, from a heart of support, and from a heart of genuine caring. This is not just about clicks. This is who you are.
Right.
This is
Thank
who
you.
you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I love you, girl.
It's the truth. It's the
All
truth.
right. Well, until next time, this is Coach
Till next
Flo
time.
signing off. Remember to find your zone and elevate your flow. Peace.
1,